So this is episode 4 of the Breathing Problem Productions podcast. I'm Rusty Kelly.
And I'm Amelia McKay.
And we have our guest,
Dustin Pilkington.
Yeah!
Woo! Yeah.
So this is the first episode with a guest officially, and it's a great guest to have. One of my closest, oldest friends, bandmates in many bands, Dustin. So Dustin's been in total abuse with me, mental abortion, a new band we're doing, and all kinds of little side things.
White Dog.
Yeah,
the OG tape.
Yeah. The what else? That's it. But that's a lot of important shit. That's important. Those are important bands. So I have this little list of stuff that we're gonna maybe is a good structure that you sent me of like things we can talk about.
Oh yeah.
Also, if you're listening to this, you might hear what sounds like a dog eating a bone, and it's a dog eating a bone, having fun. It's like it can be used as a noise loop for your noise tape later on.
Hey.
Yeah. Sounds like a little Fisher Price toy being gently nuzzled. I don't know. Okay. So you grew up did you grow up in Fort Worth? Is that where you were born?
I was born in 1983.
Yeah.
In Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh yeah.
And I lived there for the first 20 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean it's a beautiful place.
Did you like grow up immediately interested in music as a young kid, or when did you get into music?
Yes. Well, I got into music. Actually, one of my first musical memories is my dad picking me up when I was 4 or something and spinning me around listening to this cover of Over the Rainbow by this guy who won Star Search named Sam Harris.
Oh.
And it's like...
Is it like a rock version? Or it's just
It is really theatrical. Like, he has like more theatrical than the OG, but his voice is insanely high, and he has like a really chiseled jaw.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, like 80s hot guy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But his voice is totally nuts. And that's like that's
you
like
remember loving the song?
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I feel like I heard that before I heard like
Michael Jackson
before I even heard The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah, like the original song, right?
Yeah, but I guess I don't know if that. I guess it had an effect on me because I remember it. But,
yeah.
But yeah. After that, it was like Michael Jackson.
Hell
like,
yeah.
Like obsession until. I mean, he's my favorite of all time.
Yeah, no, 100%. Wait, I wonder what was. Okay, Bad came out. I can look all this stuff up. Like what year?
87.
Yeah. Okay. So
I don't know.
As a little kid, was there a specific album? I guess.
Oh well, it was actually. I mean, I loved Thriller, like the album, but and Off the Wall, but seeing the making of Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh yeah, no,
like,
I relate to that.
I mean, my mom used to take me to this place called Take It Home Video in Fort Worth, and I would rent the same movie over and over and over again, and it was making of Michael Jackson's Thriller. But I would insist on looking at every single movie they had in the entire store before I arrived at
the one you would always arrive at.
I'd get the exact same shit,
right?
Like,
which is interesting. But even like this is fast forwarding a little bit, just thinking about like VHS and horror and video store stuff, like the interesting thing of people all connecting to what it's like to like I don't know, there's movies I'll still remember looking at the cover in a video store, and I maybe even didn't even see the movie. Like there's that movie that I've never seen called like Circuitry Man, where it's like about Plughead.
I have not seen that too, and there's a Circuitry Man 2
where it's like the cover is very weird, and I just remember it because all these places would have the same layout, so it's like I remember the way you'd walk in a video store, or what to look at and go by. But then you go back to the same movies you love. Did you? I mean, that's a great making of did the monsters scare you, or did they interest you? Like,
I think they interested me.
like the
actually.
special effects shit.
Yes, like just seeing how a video like that was put together was really cool to see at a young age. And like even like further down the line, I got into full moon movies.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Charles Band.
Yeah, of course.
So for the listeners who don't know, these movies like Puppet Master, Puppet Master 2,
yeah.
Puppet Master 3,
Right.
Puppet Master 4,
Right.
Demonic Toys.
Right.
All of these movies had this special feature thing at the end called Video Zone.
Right.
That was like, you know, behind the scenes, like how they made the movie. And this was like on VHS, so like DVD extras didn't exist
Right.
at this point.
No,
Really.
I mean, he was a genius for doing that stuff.
Yeah, because it's not like, I mean, I think I really only like 5 full moon movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just went down the list. I watched all of them.
No, me too. Yeah.
So that I could watch.
Just because you wanted to see the cool, weird effects, the cool what like new puppet. I remember, I think in the third Puppet Master where they bring 6-shooter, you know, the 6-armed guy.
That was in the.
And that was like a big deal. Like, oh, there's some more new toys or whatever.
I think 4 had Decapitron.
Yeah. And then those movies are so weird. Also, being a kid and being like, this story is kind of boring. It's like, it's like some World War II Nazi thing, and then there's people that meet it. I mean, I remember actually fast-forwarding certain movies to be like, let's just get to the kills or whatever.
Totally. It's like psychics hanging out at the Bodega Bay Inn.
Yeah.
Chit-chatting.
It's so
like,
weird. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, let's see. Well, okay, it says there's a note in here talking about like green jello and groove metal. When did you get into that stuff?
Okay, so this is like, I guess a few years after Michael Jackson phase.
Yeah.
So I had this, my uncle actually showed me Metallica Black Album, and he was like actually he's awesome. He took me to go see like Lawnmower Man in the theater, like
hell yeah,
badass guy. But I just thought he was so cool, and I thought also that I had a babysitter named Todd, and he was a bad kid.
Oh shit!
And he was my mom Marina's son.
Oh.
And I don't know where he's at today, but he like, you know, combed his hair down the middle and it like reached his shoulders, and he wore like really big clothes.
So it's literally like almost like a Mike Judge, like Beavis and Butthead,
dude, totally
type character.
Yeah. Oh, I'm Todd.
Or like, it was or like King of the Hill type bad, like Buckley type. I don't know.
But I thought he was so cool.
Right.
And I thought it was cool to hang out with him. And he gave me a tape by this band called Green Jello.
Oh shit.
Called Serial Killer Soundtrack.
Oh.
You know, it has like, you know, Three Little Pigs,
Which is their hit.
Yeah, Misadventures of Shitman, Obey the Cow God.
And for people that have never heard Green, what would you describe the draw and like the music? Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like Macho Man Randy Savage singing for like
a weird metal bit.
Yeah. Like I don't even know.
An
like
alternate.
It's a little groovy, a little funky. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's kind of like there's a whole visual vibe.
They actually started out like they were a video only band.
Right.
And that was like their thing. They were like, you know, fuck CDs.
We
like
just have VHS.
Yeah. And then Three Little Pigs was so popular. The video was like claymation, and it was like requested 1 billion times on the box.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all remember the box. Channel 99 on old school cable. But it was like the kids were loving that shit.
Yeah.
And they had to put out a CD and a tape. Like, they had no choice.
Yeah.
I feel like they were nominated for a Grammy. Or like it was like it was a big deal.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the first tattoo you don't really have many tattoos.
No.
But that's the
Okay,
first
let's
tattoo.
let's bring up the green Jello.
I think it's
tattoo.
sick, and I love it. And I remember you getting it. It must have been 2008, maybe.
I was living on your couch.
Okay, yeah. And you just were like, I want to get this tattoo. Do you know who gave it to you? Some Austin person?
So I didn't have like any tattoo homies.
Yeah, like no.
That I knew of.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just went down to the drag and I went to the first tattoo place that I found because I heard that Green Jello was playing the next night. And I'm first of all, I'm too old for this shit. Like I was so excited about them coming to town that I was like, all right, I want my absolute first tattoo to be the Green Jello Yuck blob.
Right.
Which is like this. It looks like Jello. It's
Right.
like a green blob sticking out its tongue with like crossbones.
Yeah.
And I took a like printed out picture of it to the tattoo guy, and he looked me dead in the eyes and was like, "All right, are you 100% sure that you want this tattoo
Jeez.
as your first tattoo?" And I was like, "Yes."
Hell yeah. Yeah. You're like, no.
How dare you question me,
Yeah,
bro?
you're gonna be like, are you sure you don't want to get my special old school Dan Higgs style that, yeah, as if it's any better than, anyway, whatever.
I want a new school gecko with a mohawk.
And then
It's like the same shit,
I
actually.
wish there was a recording of the guy being like, so what's the story behind this logo? I assume he did know who Green Jelly was /
I honestly did not even
talk.
tell him what it was.
Just like,
I had
this is it.
a picture of the logo, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Here you go, bro. Let's go."
Wait, do you get into concerts for them free if you have their it's not like Rocket
Okay.
from the Crypt or what?
So, when I saw them for the first time,
Right.
it was the next night, and it was still wrapped up. It was like,
Oh,
wrapped
right.
up in that
yeah.
clear
Cellophane
or
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
And before they went on, I went up to Bill Manspeaker, which is the singer of Green Jello, and I was like, "I need to show you something, man." And I was like, "Got this yesterday," and I showed him, and he was like, "Dude, that's fucking awesome!" And yes, I did go up and sing Three Little Pigs with them.
Oh
That's
at
so
that show.
sick.
But then I saw them like a few years. Oh, I can't believe I'm talking about this.
This is
really
awesome. This is why we do this.
No,
This is fun.
no. So a few years later, I saw them at Spider House.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and the same shit. He was like, "It's like you got that tattoo."
Well, he remembered it?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, and I did it again.
Yeah.
I went up there and we just rocked
Well,
out.
that's sick. I mean, to me, that just shows some guy that's like, hell yeah, I love people that love my band. Those are the best people. you
Yeah.
know? Also, side note, quickly, I remember that video of them talking about the promoter that wouldn't pay them. Have you seen that video?
Yes, where they like tracking. They go. So Green Jello gets stiffed
Yeah.
at a show. They had a guarantee, and the promoter just split
Yeah,
after the show. I
yeah.
think. I don't know. I guess
Purposefully.
I don't know if like people didn't come. I guess I don't know what
Either
happened.
way, yeah.
But they had a guarantee.
Yeah.
You know.
He agreed to it.
Yeah. I feel like. Yeah, I don't know, but he tracked him down, and it was like totally insane. It's like a 2-hour-long video or
It's
something.
awesome. It's,
of
you can
him
find
just-
it on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. I think they get their money. I don't even...
They do.
Yeah.
They I think they take him to an ATM or
yeah,
something.
yeah. Hell
Like
yeah.
it's like
It's a great
crazy
video.
band justice.
And also, like, kind of like they're older dudes. It's like, you can tell they're like, I'm too old for this shit. Like,
Yeah.
which, yeah. I'm trying to think, I'm trying to think of times Total Abuse got stiffed. There's the classic, we played with Sex Vid and a bunch of other bands in California, and the kid rented an entire, like, VFW hall as if it was, like, 1994, like, you
Yep.
know.
So it was supposed to be with Lack of Interest,
Oh, right.
and,
they
then they
didn't.
which I love
Right.
all of that
Yeah,
like
yeah.
slap a ham shit.
Yeah.
But so we had a show booked at the Smell
Oh, that too.
that night.
That we were like, which one were you gonna play? And I probably
I booked the Smell
Right,
show.
so, right, there's
and
even more
the whole
fucked up.
band vetoed me, and we're like, "No, we gotta play this show with Sex Vid at a VFW hall. Lack of Interest is gonna be there, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And dude, Jim Smith, who owns The Smell, he's the sweetest guy ever, and he was so disappointed in me.
Whatever.
And it hurts.
Well, they
to this day.
I think well, whatever.
He's probably over it.
He's probably got over it. But that is weird to think about. But hey, karma did us in because it wasn't that well attended, and the kid who booked it was like, I spent all the money booking this VFW hall, which I wanted to be like, did you think this was like, 1998, like Floor Punch is playing and there's gonna be like 500 kids? Like, no. And
it was massive with like 33
people. Yeah,
kids.
yeah. And I don't think anyone. Anyway, I'm trying to think of other times when we got. There's probably a million that we can't even remember. Where someone was like, "Here's $20," and you're like, "Okay, whatever."
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
We'll go die.
But I don't think anyone else ever got too mad. I think I'll just spend the whole rest of this hour just being like, wait, let me think. Well, okay, one thing though, back to like VHS stuff, like you have a cool, I love your interest in VHS collecting, and like, to me, like, obviously there's people, just like with record collecting, that can be cheesy about like what they want and what they find, but to me, you were always the guy on any tour or even just hanging out that would grab VHS. It wasn't about like, this is the rarest thing or whatever. Like,
no, like, this is cool. Like,
yeah.
Or like, actually, I did on one tour. I remember I found like every Traces of Death.
Oh
tape
yeah.
At some like antique mall in the middle of
yeah.
nowhere. I was like, ooh.
Well, yeah, you found some stuff. Yeah.
But I actually like the Traces of Death stuff. I watched like the second one
They're
when I was
boring.
14. They're not boring.
Oh.
They're like, like Harlequin babies. Like just inside out babies.
Yeah. Or maybe
like, it's like people being, shot in the head.
maybe
like,
I'm the one. I just remember finally seeing Faces of Death, and I was like,
Faces of Death is
much
not
more,
the same shit.
Okay,
Faces
see,
of
this
Death-
is how dumb I am.
No.
But Traces of Death is a different series.
Oh my
it's more
God.
hardcore.
Dude, Faces of Death is like a dramatization of
Right.
oh my God, the canary died.
Yeah,
We're in a coal mine. We're
yeah.
all gonna die.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's fake.
Yeah.
Traces of Death is just like, like someone who's been chopped in half on a train track.
It's like It's like early internet, but not
So-
the internet, right?
I found the soundtrack to that first,
Mhm.
and it's all just like death metal.
Right.
It's
hell
like
yeah.
like Hypocrisy and like Mortician and Exit
Damn.
13 and stuff like that. Like
Yeah. Wait, I'm looking it up. I don't know.
yeah, but so then I rented the movie as an extension of the soundtrack,
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh no, this is like, I'm not supposed to be watching this,
Yeah.
right? Like this is really bad. Like I'm
Dude.
bad.
Yeah.
Dude, the soundtrack has Merzbow at the end, and Dead World, which is this guy Jonathan Candace, who does a power electronics project called Death Piles, old Relapse band. Okay, side note. That's kinda
nice,
cool.
nice. Actually, Exit 13, the CD Ethos music was the absolute first time that I heard noise.
I feel like so is there like noise interlude kind of things?
So I think me and my friend Chad, he was another bad kid,
Uh-huh.
obviously. When we were like 13, 14, we used to go to this CD warehouse
Mhm.
by our house and just pocket CDs, like
Hell yeah.
just steal. Like so the cases had like sensors, like if you walked out the door you'd get
Yeah.
fucked. So we would just steal the CD and the CD cover of
Oh.
a billion. Like
So nobody was really watching that hard.
we had big pants.
Oh, clap!
And
Right.
we just
Yeah.
slid that shit right.
It's
in
like
there.
reminds me of like Empire Records, like the kid who steals.
Yeah,
Anyway, whatever.
yeah. But and I wouldn't steal anything today. Anything on earth.
Yeah.
I'm like so scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared of life. Like there's no way. But anyway, we took Exit 13 Ethos music, and there's a disclaimer on the CD that's like, the last song on this CD will do severe damage to your speakers
Whoa.
if you turn it up. So it's kind of like, you know, we're not responsible if we damage your home stereo system.
Yeah.
So I took that and I turned it down like less than 1.
Right.
Like,
and it was super
like
loud.
in my room. No, it was quiet.
Yeah.
And I remember I had the lights out and I just like turned it up just a little bit and it was like,
Oh, hell yeah.
I turned up a little bit more. I turned it up to 2. And I was like,
hell yeah.
and I was like, oh my God.
What's weird, what's funny to think about for me, like a noise person, whatever you want to call me, I remember downloading Merzbow on like Napster or something kind of similar in the early 2000s and just being like, it's noise, it's crazy, it's cool, it's like cool, but it's just interesting to think it wasn't until like finding other certain things that were more like, I was more interested in like the conceptual elements. Anyway, whatever, that's my own story. But
well, what's funny about that is, so when I heard that, I thought it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I really did.
Yeah.
But to this day, I do not listen to noise.
Yeah.
I don't sit at home and snap my fingers to Masana. Like,
yeah.
Oh, that's a catchy beat.
Yeah. No,
Like,
it makes sense.
But I've always been fascinated by it, especially in a live setting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like when you took me to No Fun
New
Fest,
York.
like that was,
You had a great time.
that was probably the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Hell yeah.
It was like handicapper horns.
Yeah. Which I didn't even see that set, but it was great, right?
Yeah, and then I've like looked them up since, and like
It's just,
there's just like one little YouTube clip or something like, fuck,
where you really had to be there for
Dude,
whatever cool set.
it was like
they
mind
played.
blowing. Like
That was a great and
Hair Police.
Yeah, what's great also is like those No Fun Fests. Those were just they happened and there was, I don't know, it was a great vibe.
It was.
It really. We've all been to a million noise fests, but it really felt like everyone that was there was like at the top of their game and like they knew it and everything.
Yeah, like halflings.
Yeah.
But like the whole thing was just like. And I'm not I'm not a noise guy. Like I don't know.
I feel like you're a live noise guy.
I'm a live noise guy.
Well, that's the thing. It's like noise live. It's like undeniably like, it's like, I don't know, for someone who's like, oh, I don't really listen to say like dance music, but if I'm at a show and you hear pounding bass and you're like, fuck yeah, I get it.
You're gonna rave till the break of dawn.
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. So to me, I don't know. That's what's awesome. You get it, and you've always booked plenty of noise. I don't know. You recognize good shit always.
I do.
And I think, I don't know. It's what else?
I booked Breathing Problem on a few gigs.
Yeah, no, for sure. Some great ones. One side note. Can you talk about your Freddy Krueger obsession?
Oh,
you love Freddy Krueger, right?
Also, yeah. When I was little, I mean, kind of like. Really around the same time that I was obsessed with Making of Thriller.
Yeah.
I rented Nightmare on Elm Street 4 was the first one that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And Dream Master.
Right.
And so I rented that. I was maybe 6 or 7. It didn't scare me, but it was another thing where, like my mom would take me to go rent shit and kind of just not even think about what I was renting. So it's like I take it home and it's like, there's a nude woman trapped in a waterbed. And I'm like, wow, that is so cool.
Hell yeah.
Just like, so Freddy Krueger, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people maybe who were born around the same time I was, like, kind of feel like I do. Like, Freddy Krueger was a superhero.
Right.
Like, it was like, he was cool.
He was all over pop culture.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, he was at, like, literally you could buy a Freddy Krueger toy at Toys R Us.
Yeah.
You could just go, and it's like, a pull string Freddy Krueger doll. It's like, wanna play with me? Or, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But it was like, He was so cool. That was my Superman. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't give a fuck
That's so
about
sick.
I love that.
Superman. I was
Right,
like,
right. That's your super.
Freddy Krueger, who is a burnt child molester,
Yeah.
was like the coolest guy ever. And yeah, I mean, I used to go to this comic shop called Heroes, and I would not look for X-Men.
Right,
I would not look. I would be like, okay, where
The horror, like Freddy comic.
yeah, where's the burnt fedora man?
As a kid, I actually called Freddy Krueger Pie Face for some reason.
Okay.
Where there was an old video store back in Austin, and there was a cutout, like a Freddy cutout from one of the movies, like a standee, whatever you're gonna call it. And my mom, it was there forever. Like, it wasn't just for a movie; it was just there. And so every time my mom would pull in, it would be like in the glass, and I'd be like, "There's Pie Face." And
yes, son.
yeah, my mom would be like, "Yeah, there's Pie," and it didn't scare me. I just thought it looked interesting and weird. And I didn't really watch a Freddy Krueger movie till I don't know, it must have been closer to 8 or 9, but because I'm a little younger than you, but by a couple years. But anyway, the point I want to say is that when I heard Freddy Krueger's voice, which is like a pitched down voice,
Yeah.
that freaked me out a lot. Because even though I didn't know what pitching a voice was, I knew, like, this is his voice, but, like, manipulated somehow.
Welcome to primetime, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. And I also saw the worst one to see, which is Freddy's Dead, the final,
Dude.
the night, or...
Oh.
No, don't worry. I just, which had, like, the bad kids, and, anyway, it's whatever.
No,
I loved that one, I don't know.
that was like, I saw that one even before I saw the first one.
Right.
And it's sick.
It's
Like, people talk shit on it, but it's awesome.
Well, and it's like a very mid-90s movie, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, just like with Jason, the movies were like winding down, but I don't know.
I mean, it's a comedy.
Yeah. That's when it's like they're fully embracing it. I guess what technically the best ones probably, well, in terms of the canon of Freddy Krueger, people probably view like the first and the third ones as the best or something. And the second one, which is like the strange gay storyline, which is very weird and cool.
All I can remember from the second one is a school bus perched atop a mountain top.
Well, I haven't even. There's like a whole.
I haven't seen it in so long.
There's like a whole subsection where there's like a gym coach who's like an S&M head. It's a whole thing. Okay. Well, yeah. So you didn't drink till you were 25. Did you define yourself as straight edge for a little bit, or was it like half and half?
My second tattoo is that I got like 2 years ago. I'm 37, by the way.
Right.
Wait, am I 37? Yeah, I'm 37.
Yeah.
Oh my God, when you pass 35, you can be any age.
Yeah.
You can be 92. Anyway, my second, and I only have 2 tattoos, but my second tattoo is a tattoo that I was gonna get when I was like 19, when it made way more sense.
Right.
But it's a bleeding razor blade.
Hell yeah.
That says Super Edge on it.
Hell yeah.
And I took it from the cover of this Skull Control album.
Right. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and like fuck.
That's all good.
So Rusty has this table rig.
Oh yeah.
So that the microphone is like clamped onto this table. Check this out.
Yeah. It's
if you tap the table, it sounds like walking in hell.
Yeah.
Anyway,
welcome to hell, dude. Yeah.
Back to my tattoo
Yeah.
story. Yeah, I got a straight edge tattoo like well past the time that I started drinking. I actually still to this day do not do drugs.
Yeah.
But like when I was in high school, my dad was pretty much like, if you do drugs, I'll kill you. I was like, okay, noted. Noted. Because my dad was
even interested in doing drugs in high school though?
No.
Right.
Like actually like, so I had like 100% of my friends drank.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Did drugs. I mean, drugs in high school was like weed.
Weed, right.
And it's like, I was somehow never like peer pressured into doing anything.
I wasn't. Yeah.
And I think that had a big, like, in 7th grade or something, I took a sip of vodka from my friend's, like, mom's
liquor cabinet or something. Right.
But past that, like, I mean, I just did not drink, and I wasn't excited by it.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously I've had my issues with drugs later on, but when I was I'm different than you, I guess, maybe in the sense that I was like 100% into, I was like a super into like Youth Crew and Minor Threat. Did you listen to any punk band?
So I liked Minor Threat, but I really did not care about straight edge.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even like a thing. It wasn't like, oh, I mean, especially in high school, like, it was like, I'm not some
Youth Crew jock. Yeah.
It's like,
was there probably, I wonder if there was even like a Dallas, Fort Worth, I'm straight, I don't know enough about like certain hardcore.
So I don't think any of these bands are straight edge, but the first show that I went to that wasn't like local pop punk was Hatebreed, Earth Crisis, Scarhead, and Madball.
Well, that's
when I was 15.
Show. That's sick.
Dude, it blew my brains out.
Was there a ton of people there?
Yes. It was like totally packed. This was the first like
underground or
I had seen Spin Doctors in the past.
Hell yeah.
I had seen Aerosmith and Candlebox, yes.
Yes.
But a show like a packed in like just like you get in the front door and you're immediately sandwiched between like just nasty sweaty people.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god, like this is cool.
Yeah, hell yeah.
This is super cool. And I mean, I was at this restaurant with my mom when I was like 15 or whatever, and I was like flipping through the it was something like the Chronicle.
Right.
It was like a
whatever the version of that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like flipping through it, and I already liked Hatebreed.
Right.
And I was like flipping through the paper, and I was like, Hatebreed is coming to Dallas. I was like, you're kidding me. And I was like, I darted my eyes to her, and I was like, you gotta let me go to this.
Hell
like,
yeah.
I can't survive if I don't go to this. This is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And it was like the coolest, like I saw, oh my God, if I could find this girl, this girl, imagine me being 14 wearing I couldn't afford Jinkos, so I had like size 37 silver tab pants.
Hell yeah.
And my hair combed down the middle. I was standing in the very back of the room, but I saw this girl. She had like a camouflage tank top on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's sick.
And like big pants. And she did this cartwheel.
Whoa.
I had
like
never
spin kick.
I had never seen moshing like this or
that
anything.
Kind, yeah.
Like there was no YouTube. Like I didn't,
Yeah.
It was psychotic. She just did like a flip into the mosh pit, and I was like, whoa. Oh my God. I was like, this is like the perfect woman.
Right.
Like I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about women.
Yeah.
I still like slightly.
Well, dude, I could also, side note, it's interesting to think about like being a kid, and I kind of knew about like the concept of moshing from being at like big festival-y outdoor events, but then I remember going to a hardcore show, My Luck, Far From Breaking, Texas hardcore,
shit.
But and people were doing like karate kind of moves.
Yeah.
I don't know, you would define.
That was what I saw too.
Got
and I was
punched
just like,
in the
what?
head.
Oh,
super hard. I was just on the side like, hey, cool. And I just remember getting like really hard. There's no point to the story except that really hurt, and I was like, damn, this is crazy. And I also, it's I feel like we're older, so we're not plugged into whatever the necessarily like hardcore people. I don't know. You know what I mean? I was just thinking about how at the time in like the 90s. And mainly for me, early 2000s, there would be like people that were like, I'm against karate, hardcore dancing. I'm more for like circle pit, traditional punk, where that like become, I don't know. That was like a whole thing.
Like, to me, I've always, I love live music.
Yeah.
I've never been a mosher or like a karate guy or whatever. Like, I like to get to the absolute front, like front left or front right.
Yeah.
The front center is like, that's weird.
You're gonna get hurt.
but I love like just being where the band's at.
Yeah.
Like, and just going off right there. But I've never been like, I'm gonna roll around on the ground. And...
Yeah.
It's cool for other people.
Or the worst thing is that, or sometimes the harshest thing is like a packed house show where you're the band. Like, I'm thinking of like Total Abuse shows where you're just having to play. Well, it's easy.
You have to turn around and face the opposite way of the crowd so you can play your guitar.
Because I'm saying this is the singer where it's completely easier. Whereas you as the bass player, guitar player, otherwise people just run into you.
If I face the crowd, there will be no notes. It's like nothing.
Well, and then I was thinking about the Total Abuse show that was at that Mike Nacarado and Tom's old house
when Duncan threw a guitar through the window.
Yeah, a window broke. Another window broke.
That was on accident.
There's, I think, live footage on YouTube if you search Total Abuse house show. I don't know. Shot by Brian Lee Taylor. Shout out. That was a crazy show. Side note, had a very crazy house if you lived in Austin that was like totally falling apart and fun.
If you wanted to hoot and holler,
if you want to
go to this show.
If you want to do drugs, if you wanted to do bad things, I think that house is, I don't know if it's still standing, but it's a weird
No, they
place.
had to knock it down after all that
I'm
shit.
sure, right. Okay. Did you ever see, I can't remember if you've told me, did you ever see Devourment? Or
I saw, so I had, I guess, so technically I guess that was my first show.
Right.
But we didn't get to go inside.
Oh, weird.
So, when I was like 14, there was this, I think it's still going, but there's this, radio station in Fort Worth called KNON.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's college run.
Right.
But, there's this guy Thrashin' Allen who every weekend he would play like just insane death metal, like, just Mortician, Devourment, like Deeds of Flesh and stuff like that. And so I heard that there was a show, and my friend Marshall's dad took us to go see it, and we couldn't get in because we were it was 18 plus.
Oh,
but I found out after taking the flyer that the next night was all ages. Or it was like the night before was all ages. And I was like, no. But his dad was cool, and he let us, like, we just sat on the hood of his car and listened to Viral Load.
Could you hear it pretty well?
Yes.
Well, that's good, at least that.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like, you could hear it, like, plain as day. It was
I feel like you were one of the first people I knew that had known about like slam, death metal, whatever you want to call it, way before a lot of people did.
It really goes back to, I mean, listening to KNON and stealing CDs.
Yeah.
Any CD that looked cool,
Yeah.
It was like pestilence, temples of the ancients,
Right.
and like
molesting the decapitated.
yes,
Right.
it was like any shit like that. It was like yes, like okay, internal bleeding, voracious contempt.
Yeah.
Dude, like when I was 15 or whatever, I mean, I don't do this now. I would sit around and memorize lyrics
Just like that you couldn't even understand necessarily.
Oh, dude.
Right.
No, they were all written out.
Oh, right.
So I would just sit and listen to like Anointed in Servitude and be like, I command thee to rip of the dead.
Hell yes.
Like that was my shit. Like
well,
that's
why we're all weird artists, musicians,
dude.
We love doing stuff like that as
like,
kids.
Like, okay, so 2 years ago, and this is another like embarrassing, almost Green Jello level story, but Internal Bleeding came to town,
sick.
and I was like, oh my god, like I gotta go see them.
Yeah.
And I like dragged my girlfriend, and I was like, okay, I am going to be at the front, and I'm gonna nerd out to this shit.
Yeah.
And they had their original singer,
Oh yeah.
Frank Rainey, who's like this legendary, like just New
Brutal,
York,
yeah.
like brutal dude. I guess they had another singer for like several years, but it was like a big deal,
Right.
that he came out.
The OG guy, right?
Yeah, and it was like Internal Bleeding and Pyrexia, which is like
another amazing band.
I mean, in my mind, I was like, oh, this show's gonna be packed. I get there, it's like 20
right.
something
Super
people.
fans.
It's awkward,
Right.
but at the same time, I got straight to the front.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And the singer saw me. This is so embarrassing. I'm like, my cheeks hurt right now. But he saw me singing
Right.
along to one of the songs. And he hopped down from the stage.
Oh.
He put his arm around me and he let me sing
Whoa.
this little part.
That's
And
sick.
my girlfriend was fidgeting for her camera.
Oh, shit. Too
Dude,
late.
it got lost.
But at
the
least
moment
it's
was
there.
lost.
That's sick.
But dude, it was really good.
I mean, that's
I sang into his mic.
That's
it was
so
so
sick.
funny.
I mean, side note, the first Internal Bleeding LP needs to be reissued on vinyl, for me at least. I mean, it's perfect as a CD. Certain stuff is perfect as a CD as it is.
Oh
but
yeah, I guess it doesn't exist on vinyl.
It should. I mean,
It
should
should probably be a Breathing Problem
yeah, right,
Productions.
I wish, right. Yeah, no. But I love. I mean, again, that stuff. It took me a long time to get around to come around to death metal. As a human being, so then Dustin always has been aware.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I used to listen to. I mean, like, I was obsessed with like Cannibal Corpse, like when I was 14, like mainly the Bleeding.
Yeah.
But I have not kept up with death metal. It's like the stuff that I listened to in high school, like.
That's the best shit anyway.
That's where I stopped.
Well, I mean, we don't have to mention any band names. This is a positive podcast, but I think you know, like many resurgence things, sometimes the best bands are the original bands.
They don't get it right.
Yeah, and it becomes a thing that's more about merch and whatever. Anyway, we love everybody. We love everyone. Yeah, but I mean, that's what's interesting to me about you is. The cliche of like I listen to everything, man, is real for you, but it's the best version of that. I don't know, you know what I mean by that? Like you, but everything you listen to, there's a certain, whether it's weird outsider pop shit that you love, or like, you know, death metal shit you love. There's like I don't know. There's something special about all that stuff to me. I don't know.
So, yeah, I mean, I've always kind of. I mean, I love extreme music, and I love all music, but I've kept myself open, especially because like, my mom growing up was like, you know, just really into like, I mean, essentially radio pop.
Yeah.
And that's never left my being. Like,
I love that stuff.
I mean, that's 75% of what I listen to is the radio.
Hell yeah.
I mean, the old radio.
Right, the old... Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like...
I mean, nothing could... Well, I think we haven't really covered it, but I think what's interesting is, like, you know, the Best Friends project that you created, which there's so many... I mean, Skater Live is one of my favorite pop songs ever. I mean, truly, I love that song. And I think that's what's interesting is, like, us playing music together, saying Total Abuse or whatever. I think it's important to love. I mean, I love amazingly written pop songs, and I can always appreciate them.
I think as far as like friends go, I've always aligned myself with people who are like outwardly crazier than me.
Yeah.
I feel like in my mind I'm pretty crazy, but
yeah.
But outwards I'm a little shy.
Well, that's what I mean. I think you have like just as much craziness and rage but it's like you're like more of a like you keep, you know, it's like it comes out in its own way, let's just say, compared to like people breaking shit in the street or something like that.
Dude, remember when at Total Abuse practice, Duncan took. So, our guitar player Duncan took my Snickers.
Oh
and
shit!
And first of all, you don't do that to a guy. A guy. I was very poor. He took my only Snickers.
Dude, wait. I don't even know if I remember.
He took a
this.
bite of it, and I just took the rest of it and I shoved it down his throat.
Wait, you did? Wait,
Yeah.
was I there?
It was at Music Lab.
Maybe I wasn't there. Was this years ago? Was this like when Total
I was
Abuse
like,
doing
"Oh,
okay?
you want the Snickers? You could fucking have all the Snickers
Oh.
right now." I shoved it down his throat.
Damn, I wish I had that on video. Wait, I wonder, was that like resurgence era Total Abuse? Like
That was like when Duncan
first joined.
Yeah.
Okay, well, see now I don't even remember that.
See,
But
that's when the darkness comes
well,
out.
yeah, the dog just
You
barked.
fuck. Yeah. You fuck with my Snickers, bro. No.
What is the Snickers slogan like? Not going anywhere for a while. Don't-
Snap into a Snickers.
Yeah.
baby.
Well, I mean,
But yeah, like, I don't really know how this happened. Like, I moved to Austin, for a girl, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I just moved with my girlfriend, and I was happy to get out of Fort Worth, and I just kind of I started like, there was like a house party like every weekend,
Yeah,
several
yeah.
house parties. So I would just start like going and hanging out with people and finding like the craziest people that I could and being like, okay, these are my new friends. Like,
well, though what's interesting is I had met you before you moved. I met you at a
was that the yellow sweater?
yeah,
No.
yeah. Or I remember meeting you at my hardcore band that never really recorded anything. Red Dye Number 4 maybe played,
Dude.
or I Shoot Lightning played. I don't know which one. But I met you and you gave me a Retro Spectra CER.
Oh,
But-
retrospective.
But I think you were also, maybe I'm wrong, but in my head you were wearing like a fake fur coat or some kind of like
I
puffy fake fur. Okay, I'm
I had
not
like
crazy.
a yellow. It looked like a raincoat, but it had like a fake fur,
Yeah.
like lined
Well,
collar.
I remember being like, "Whoa, this dude looks cool."
This dude's
like,
hot.
yeah. Well,
This redhead's
well-
so hot.
well, all I can say is I definitely was like, "Whoa, that's an an out there."
That's a
vibe.
unique individual.
Yeah. And this was an era of 2000, probably 2004 or something, 3, when that was an interesting era for all fashion of underground music.
Yeah.
Side note, but then I don't think I talked to you, or I was kind of on my own tip when you finally moved. But yeah, when Total Abuse started to get around, probably 2006, I was hanging out with Matt again, and you showed up. I don't know.
No, I was in with everyone except for you.
Right.
I was in a band called Video Screams.
Right.
That was like me, Matt, Ryan Foster, Duncan, and this guy Roy, who I
Yeah.
miss very much.
Yeah.
But that's another episode.
Right.
But I kind of just hopped in and I took this guy's spot.
Right. Playing synth,
Yeah. Oh, I had never played keyboard in my life.
and you figured it out.
And I was like, well, you just push your finger down on a button and it makes a sound. So there you go. But it was essentially just like sassy.
like 3-1G
It was 3-1G worship.
sound virus, whatever.
Yeah. But so I don't even really remember how I joined that band, but it was because of meeting those people and they were already, like, Duncan was friends with you.
And then Duncan ended up joining the Sneeze, right?
Yeah.
For a second. That's its own thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, man, I've been in so many bands.
yeah.
But I was in this band called The Sneeze with Duncan and Roy, too. So it was like right when I moved to Austin, I just kind of jumped straight into, I don't know if it was the scene,
Well, yeah.
but it was like a scene.
Well, and it was like you guys were playing in Beerland when lots of people would go to Beerland every weekend, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, I just jumped straight in and started playing like as many shows and in as many bands as I could. Like, I was just kind of making the most of living in Austin.
I mean, I don't want to ever say like, oh, Austin's not what plenty of people do stuff, but it definitely, you start to ask yourself, is it because of my age? Is it because of the internet? I mean, I definitely think pre-internet being as, you know, you can just sit and watch Netflix, and not that I'm any better, but like I feel like more people had to get out and go do shit. Like to me, going to a house party, I'm sure there's house parties that exist that I'm too old to go to, and they're their own thing. But
you ever heard of COVID?
Oh yeah, this is all pre-COVID. This is all but I just think
house shows are canceled.
Or it's interesting to think about like, or even like shows at venues, like people would go to a bar and be like, I don't know what band's playing. I got to go do something on a Friday because what am I gonna do? Watch TV, you know? But you know, I don't know. Anyway, all I can say is it felt like Austin. It was a special kind of time of lots of people coming to Austin, hanging out and wanting to just be creative. Anyway, it seemed that way to me.
It really was. Like, I mean, Fort Worth is fine. Like, I mean, I liked my childhood and blah, blah, blah. But there was nothing like that. Like, it was like moving. I didn't really go to college. I went to like some community college, but moving to Austin was college. Yeah. It was like, I mean, these were essentially frat parties.
Right.
Like, you know, I moved to town. I like slept on friends' couches.
Yeah.
Like that was the vibe.
Yeah, it was.
And Austin to me was magical.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, it wasn't maybe every night, but it was like I could just go to some random person's house
and people would be hanging out and doing stuff.
Yeah. It was like, this is the coolest shit that I can imagine.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine, like, things being better.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, what's interesting is I was not necessarily, I knew about all these things, or I'd go to parties, but I was in my own emo world. I did a band called Turokata. We're not talking about that right now. But even in my little world, there was plenty of kids going to shows at any random bookstore. Anyway, it felt like there was a lot of energy, and people were just excited to be playing music. And,
yeah.
And I think what's interesting is, like, that band ended without, sadly, you guys recorded like some demos that are like digital only somewhere, right? And then,
well, no, they were on MySpace.
Yeah,
and like, MySpace was like randomly a year ago was like,
delete everything.
We deleted everything.
Oh God, someone somewhere.
That's what y'all get for abandoning Daddy MySpace,
right? Or like Pure
Facebook.
Volume or something. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I think is interesting is from that, you know, I think a year or two later, Total Abuse is born, and it, you know, in a way, it becomes like a very much so like we're doing our own thing. I mean, someday we'll do a Total Abuse episode that can be more focused on Total Abuse. I'm sure there's people being like, "What's the Total Abuse story?" Or maybe they aren't. Maybe they're like, "Fuck off! I don't want to hear it." But I will say, it felt like a meeting of like, "Hey, Dustin. Hey, Matt. Hey, guys." That kind of like I haven't hung out with in a couple years. Or I didn't really hang out with you at all. That's when we became real friends. You moved in you slept on the couch that I had.
I slept on so many couches. Like, if I ever become a millionaire, which is very unlikely, bro, all y'all are getting hooked up.
All couches.
Everyone's getting hooked up.
Well, I think but see, that's the thing. It's like, you know, there was Total Abuse would practice on the weekends or whenever we could. Also, just you know, having the time, or like people just being like, okay, we're gonna tour. Also, this is something interesting to talk about is Best Friends was happening, and I feel like that was though like a more serious project in a way. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, so, like I was in this band called Best Friends that pretty much started like right out of high school with my friend Anthony, and he was making beats like in Fruity Loops, and I had never even thought of that. I'd never thought of making music like on a computer only.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And this is after listening to like, you know, Anal Cunt Morbid Florist.
Right.
Like hearing music that was made on a computer that was just like I just couldn't believe it. I was like, it was so foreign to me that it was like magic.
Sorry, my dog is trying to destroy our whole thing.
So, oh shit.
There you go.
So, he was making these songs that were essentially just like, sampled electronic songs, and I was like, dude, we should sing on top of these.
Yeah.
So we just plugged in like a mic from the dollar store, and we started just hollering on top of these songs.
Yeah.
And with no real thought into like, oh, this is a good song. We were like, oh, any song is cool.
Yeah.
Like, I am singing on top of an electronic beat. This is badass.
Yeah.
So we started Best Friends, and we kind of just, I don't know really how it happened, but a label from the UK heard Best Friends. Yeah, and we like, they wanted to put out a record, and like we went and toured.
Yeah, you did a lot of touring. Like before you even had like a full CD. Like that CD hadn't come out. I don't think. Had you maybe had other stuff?
We had a 7-inch came out in like 2006, I think. Yeah. And oh, actually, it was because the Sneeze that I was in with Rusty and
with Roy.
I mean, sorry, with Duncan and Roy.
Yeah.
We played South by Southwest one year, and that was when South by Southwest like
did thing.
So record labels actually came to
right.
South by Southwest, and like some record label from the UK came and saw the Sneeze, and I like threw a cinder block into the air with my eyes were duct taped, and I threw a cinder block into the air, and they were like, "Oh, this is really cool." And I guess they went to the Sneeze website, which had a link to the Best Friends, like 3 songs that we made, like for no one. They were just like on a website, and they heard, and they were like, "Hey, we're interested in these songs. Do you want to do anything with these?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, we are great. We play shows." We're like, and we had never played a show ever.
Right.
And they like wanted to put out a record, so we just like slammed out like 30 something songs that were like,
was this alphabetically arranged?
Yeah. And it was just like, I mean, I don't know how to explain this. This doesn't make sense.
It just happened.
Talking about it, but we made any song.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, this is a great song. It was like, no. We programmed something on the spot. We're like, sang on top of it, and we're like, this.
Hell yeah. And like, that's the song.
We're like, this is a song.
Right.
Like, that's that. And we made like 30 something songs and put them out, and then this label like put it out, and we went on a bunch of tours. And
yeah. I mean,
it didn't make sense.
But it happened. Well, one thing to me that's cool is I have like a very vivid memory of hanging out with you, probably like we're just bored. It was probably nighttime. I was like watching movies, and you were on a computer designing because their CD alphabetically arranged by Best Friends has like a million faces Dustin designed. Like each one's a different character basically. I just remember watching you being like, yeah, I'm making a ton of heads. And I thought it was really cool, but I just remember were you using Photoshop or like MS Paint?
I was just, I had what are they called? I don't remember those gel tip pins.
Oh, right.
I want to say Ernie ball, but
right.
that's like
with
a guitar string.
Pens, right.
Yeah, they're zebra.
Right,
something.
Right.
Just drawing a million heads.
Right.
And then we like kind of kaleidoscoped them all together. I'd never used Photoshop, but yeah, Anthony from Best Friends like knew how to do it. So I drew a million heads, and
I love that.
We smashed them all together.
I also, this is not even necessarily a happy story. It's almost like a sad story. The Total Abuse tour where we played some show and you had to play in New York. And we didn't get to the show on time, and Anthony had to solo Best Friends.
So Total Abuse played a show in Washington, D.C.
Or Baltimore. I don't know. It was a bad show.
And this was like it's not...
We didn't even have a record out, basically.
First of all, it's not pre-internet, but it was like... It was not easy to just look up like a route.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Or especially with like with traffic involved.
And you had to have an atlas and just be like, I guess we
were
follow
getting
this road.
$600 to play in the middle of the street in Williamsburg, Best Friends, and Total Abuse played in
Baltimore
Washington
or something,
Washington D.C. like the day before. And for some reason I thought it was 2 hours to get to New York.
With traffic, it was way more.
And with Matt,
with everyone fighting, and I remember you being like, "Dude, we have to go," and people being like, "I gotta take a shower, bye," or something, you know.
Yeah,
the
like,
classic.
I'd be sitting in the van, and it's like, "Oh, dude, I gotta take a shower for 2 hours." It's like, fuck.
Hey, are we gonna get food? I really gotta eat. I can remember. I feel bad because I can remember your face, like calling Anthony, who's one of the nicest people ever, and you just being like, "Yeah, this isn't good.
It's not happening, bro."
But
so in Best Friends, I was the predominant singer,
right? Yeah,
and it's not because I'm good at singing; it's because I'm kind of more of a stage man.
Yeah.
Or you know,
the hype man.
Yeah, I just holler and jump around, and I'm
yeah.
like, yo, let's fucking do this.
Yeah.
But Anthony is actually really good at singing, but he's a little bit more shy.
Right. He's the producer that also sings. You know,
So-
there was a vibe that you guys had.
So he got flown to New York because we were going to play this show, and I was like, bro, I'm on my way. And we so anyway, for some reason I feel like it was Washington D.C., but it may
you
not
probably
have been.
are. Yeah.
I'm bad at
Either
geography.
way, we were far.
We were very far, and I got to town like 2 or 3 hours later,
And he
had played a show by himself, and he's like the shyest guy ever. He had to play a show that was like packed Williamsburg
the height
Street.
of, let's say, Williamsburg hipster 2008 world or whatever we call it.
I think video exists of it. He held it down. He did what he had to do.
He was a performer.
But dude, I mean, it was just so
That's
sad.
how much you cared. That's what I'm saying, though. It's like, I felt bad. I mean, I don't know who else felt bad. I definitely did. But I don't know why. I just was thinking about... I have, like, visual memories of being in some horrible basement and just you looking at me and being like, oh, we gotta go. We gotta go. Yeah. What else was I going to say? Let's see.
Rusty's cute dog is licking everywhere.
My dog, our dog does not want... She wants everyone to not be recording a podcast. She wants us to be giving her lots of attention.
She's trying to unplug everything.
Oh, she thinks that's a bone or something. I don't know. Anyway, well, I mean, I think, you know, like I said, I think that there should be like a Total Abuse focused episode because there's so much.
Probably so.
There's so much to say about Total Abuse, and how it started, and like. And all the stuff we recorded, and all the good and bad and in between tours, we could all. I think it is cool to think about, though, just like creatively, just being like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna tour for a month, and it was like, again, it's interesting to think about like going on tours. The internet existed, and it definitely helped. I'm not about to like be like, I know what it was like to call a number, a random.
No, we did.
I know
we
that.
Did both,
but meaning like I didn't have to like use MRR. And
it was
call,
on the
like,
cusp. For sure.
It was the cusp of that, where it's like
we weren't purely book your own fucking life.
Right, exactly. Where you could luckily message people on MySpace or whatever, Friendster, whatever was available at the time, but it was still very much so like. Hoping the shows existed, of which they mostly did, and really using an atlas because there was no map quest.
Yeah. Literally opening up a huge book of
roads.
Like veiny roads.
Yeah.
And being like, okay, go left.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of... I remember one time thinking of just all there was random numbers, like playing in maybe it was, I don't know if it was Minneapolis, and we were literally, we didn't have an address. We had the name of the punk house,
Yeah.
And driving around because nobody was answering the phone and being like, do you know where the dead bird house is? To like people that seemed like cool, and then being like, oh, I don't know. But what's weird is we would like to where we were like, we're gonna miss the show because we don't know where to go, So what would you do back then? You would drive to like record stores, bookstores, like any kind of interesting place, searching for flyers. And I think we either found a flyer that someone had put up, or we actually drove around and were like, "Do you know where the slug house is?" and someone was like, "Yeah, I do." And we luckily found the show. But I just remember like driving around a city, being like, "Well, hopefully we find the show." I mean, which is cool. And of course, all the kind of romantic stuff of like, there was like scenes of people that were like, "Hey, I'll book your band, whatever. Like, we'll figure it out."
The funny thing is, we're at like the height of technology.
Mm-hmm.
There are no shows, baby.
That's it. That's the thing that's sad and interesting. Is like you'd think there'd be a million people and well, I guess COVID. Even without COVID, I feel like it's not as deeply like scenes aren't. I feel like it's like that's why you see a million fests, because it's almost like to get people to come out, every show has to be like this huge event for some people. Well, that can lead into like, okay, past even Total Abuse in Austin, you do this booking thing called SWAS.
Yes.
Which is cool.
So, a few years ago, I was hanging out at my friend Harpaul's house, and he had this Sir Mix-a-Lot tape called SWAS.
Oh,
I was like,
that's...
I pulled it out of his rack, and I was like, wow, that's a cool word. And I researched, and according to Wikipedia, it meant some wild ass silly shit. And I was like, okay, that's my vibe.
Yeah.
Some wild ass silly shit. So I was like, okay, Harpaul, we have to start booking shows under this name SWAS, and we just have to hope that we don't become popular and Sir Mix-a-Lot comes after us. But to me, what SWAS meant was any band that I thought was cool, no matter like what genre, just like pop, noise, just death metal, anything. Mm-hmm. I was like, there are not enough shows in Austin where like different genres are represented. It's all like, okay, we're going to a hardcore show.
Right.
Glue.
Right.
Like,
and then we have to go to like some like a metal show. I mean,
yeah. So my whole idea, and this is like kind of, I don't know if it's naive, but I was like, oh, like, you know, like people who like death metal, like will sit through a noise set, or they'll sit through some like lo-fi pop, you know, like kind of outsider shit, like, you know. But so I would smash like 5 different genres into one show and just kind of hope for the best every single time.
Yeah.
So, you know, it'd be like breathing problem.
Yeah, okay.
You know, with like Mammoth Grinder.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, oh, we need a rap.
Yeah.
We need a rap artist. So I'd be like, oh, let's get Fat Tony.
Yeah, hell
or
yeah.
Let's get Lou Rebecca, who's just like amazing local French pop.
Yeah.
Like I just thought
it's a reflection of your vibe, which I love. Yeah. And I mean, those are shows that, you know, there's been huge ones and medium ones, but people always are so happy, I feel like, and stoked.
Yeah, like it's always like I'll pick a few bands that, I don't know how to say this, but I purposefully, it's almost like I'm not a troll, and I've never been like a 4chan kind of guy.
No way.
But I'm like, I like to see people accidentally watching bands that they would not ever
which to me
go watch on their own.
Which to me is also kind of interesting. Like, I of course always wanted to do that with and we've kind of, with Total Abuse, like, to me, Total Abuse for us in some ways is all about, we played old school hardcore, but we had all these other influences, and it was like, sometimes it felt like tricking a punk to try to listen to some weird shit. You know what I mean?
I know this is for another episode, but we were not allowed to play the hardcore. Like, Total Abuse was not allowed to. And I feel like that kind of influenced the Swash shows in a way. It's
Yeah, yeah.
Total Abuse. Like even though we played like kind of straight up hardcore, we weren't accepted in the
Especially Austin, Texas.
Texas hardcore realm. So we played with like bands like Finally Punk and like
Black Leather Jesus or
yeah, like bands that were like punk adjacent but didn't really exactly make sense with what we were doing.
Well, yeah, and I think also it's interesting to think. Obviously, when we'd go on tour, we would play plenty of like hardcore shows where people were fine with us or cool with us. But I feel like number one, when we would like do weird post-punk songs or like noise interludes, I think that's very normal now. Like it's kind of like, we're all just supposed to. It's all about mixing shit up, but like. Especially back in like 2006, 7, 8, it was very much so like it was kind of an interesting, weird thing to do. But also I feel like we would purposely I can remember nights on tours where we would play like a punk show, like in Chicago once we played a hardcore show. But then the next night we made sure to do like Jail from the Coughs booked our show.
Totally.
And we played like a weird art venue like noise night, and that was important. We were more interested in playing sometimes those shows, and that's why it was fun sometimes going to New York, because New York would do more like mixed up weird shows and shit.
I mean, like especially around that time, it's like I didn't want to play with some just like boneheaded regular hardcore. We
call Bart hardcore. That's a word Matt Lyons Bartcore. But
it was cool to exist in that world where it was like we were essentially. I mean, it was a hardcore band.
Yeah, yeah.
But we had kind of weirder leanings, and like I felt like I didn't want to play just some, boring like I don't know if boring's maybe the wrong word, but just like
very like vanilla normal. Like there was some cool shows for sure.
I would rather be a hardcore band on a weird bill.
Yeah, and I think that was what we were seeking out, and I truly think a couple years later it became pretty normal. Like let's say like you ended up having the beginning of like cold wave happens in New York, like the resurgence of like synth poppy cold wave stuff and goth stuff, and then there's like that ex-Cult Ritual band Merchandise happens.
Yeah.
And then industrial becomes cool again, and then it became very normal for like say Chaos and Chaos or something like that to book like very weird bills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to say that. I don't think either of us are like ego.
Just say
freaks.
It, bro. Just say it.
But I think that we at least in other bands too, at least kind of tried to like push that weird vibe. And I think it was a good thing. And anyway, and back to SWAS, I think it's cool that you still push that. And I hope once COVID is whatever, I'm not going to say ends, but whatever. Dude. Once shows happen again, whenever that day is, you got to have like a big gig.
I will.
After the post-apocalyptic
brother,
music.
let me tell you, it's going to be the biggest gig.
I mean, I think we can wind down a little bit, but I'm trying to think of other interesting stuff that we could. Well, I think I'm trying to think of one thing I'll say is, you still do lots of different, like we do this noisecore project, Mental Abortion together. Yes. You do almost like Best Friends mutated. You do a thing called Burnt Skull.
Yeah. With
Anthony.
I do. Like,
do you define that as like an extension of Best Friends, or it's just?
Yes, because so at like the end of Best Friends, we were writing 100% hate jams. It was just like we were writing songs. I wrote a song called Innocent Slaughter about killing everyone on Earth, and having the potential to kill everyone on Earth, but you draw too much attention to yourself. And I was explaining to our audience, which is zero, I was like, bro, stop being flashy. Just kill. You know what? Pick somebody, kill them. Don't post about it on Twitter. Just fucking kill people.
Yeah.
Like, stop.
Yeah.
Don't make it about you. But So we started making like just like brutal, like it was song after song. It was like we're called Best Friends, which is hilarious, but we're making song like I made a song called Hate is Reality.
And that was still under the Best Friends name?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like it was about I mean, it was so fucked. It was like Satan, he's the boss. Demonic king. That's the first lyric.
Right.
So I was like, we have to stop Best Friends.
Right.
My mind is too perverted.
Right.
Like we have to make another band. And Anthony is sweet and he was like, let's go.
Right.
I appreciate you, bro. Let's go. And I was like, okay.
And that started what, like 2011 or 12 maybe?
Yeah, 2012
10.
or 13 something.
But
But we started this band called Burnt Skull because I was too fucked. I couldn't. I was like, I'm not going to write a love song right now. And it's not because...
Is there any Best Friends stuff that's from the guitar drums era? Or is there like digital songs? I'm just curious.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, they're like, actually, like, we like kind of transitioned from programming like Fruity Loop stuff to playing guitar and drums. And I think because of that transition, maybe we kind of, I don't know, it just became different.
Yeah.
Like, even though we never really wrote songs about anything, it was just kind of bullshit, whatever lyrics we'd come up with. It kind of, once we started playing drums and guitar together, Anthony played drums and I played guitar, and it was just like, it just became something. It was like, dude, I have to sing about ripping the beak off of a dove.
Yeah. I think,
Like,
yeah, hell yeah.
and I don't know why. Like,
Is there another Best Friends or Burnt Skull album coming out ever?
yes, we have a new album called Daylight Mutilation coming out. I mean, we're not done,
but it's been in the works for a little while, right?
Yeah, but it's after this album, I'm not writing any bad lyrics ever again.
Okay, well, you've got...
Dude, the new album is like, we have a song called Killing a Baby. I mean, it's like, I'm just trying to pull every bad thing out of me.
Out of your... Yeah, do it. That's
I'm
the
done.
vibe. Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
Dude, 2021, you know, this is the dawning. Like, I mean, it's January.
It's the time to do it. Yeah.
Like, things are bad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a little happier.
Yeah.
So
That's
once this album is done, like, I mean, I'm literally like, I'm talking about being raped under a rainbow. Like, that's bad.
Yeah.
I'm done. After this shit, I don't know why I'm singing about this stuff.
Well,
it's like this is like,
you're preaching to the
so
choir here.
when we when we write songs, I scream, and then I'm like, okay, I'll figure out what I'm saying.
Yeah.
After the fact.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, like, it turns out that I'm like, oh, I'm swerving into oncoming traffic.
Yeah.
I am, I don't know.
I love that. I mean, I don't know. I'm excited. I love shit like that.
It's just weird because I don't see myself as that kind of guy, but for some reason that is what floods my mind.
Well,
Bad shit floods my mind.
I love that.
And
Maybe it's like the dark side of the Gemini in you.
maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so. And sometimes, I mean, when I come up with interesting lyrics, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But at the same time, I'm like, damn, like, that is me. It is me. I came up with it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want that to be me. Like, I'm like, after I put this shit out, it's like, I kind of want to deviate from that. I feel like, I mean, now more than ever, like, with everything going on, like, I feel like positivity, I mean, in any way that you can drag, like, you know, bring it into what you're doing, like, do it.
Yeah.
Like, I just, when you're blasted when you are confronted with the worst reality you can imagine, a year of nothing.
Yeah.
A year of garbage.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, with people just desperate for anything.
Oh yeah.
Desperate to get out of their houses, desperate to go to literally any like if Deep Blue Something was playing at a church, playing only Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, everyone on my block would be like, "Yes, let's go!"
Yeah.
Oh, if COVID was erased, we would go see Breakfast at Tiffany's, Cracker. We would go see any Jars of Clay. We'd go see Christian bands.
But not the Eve 6 guy, because on Twitter...
he's too cool.
He's too self-aware, and also he made a tweet that was like, the Wachowskis is better than Coen Brothers. And I was like, you're running out of hot takes, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you could make a Twitter hot take generator that's just like, like, my brother's... piss in a jar is better than every Pixar movie. Oh wait, maybe it is. But anyway, I don't know. Side note.
Bro, Atticus and Trent did the soundtrack to Soul.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's gotta be cool.
Well, I mean, although one thing I will say, just because you always talk a lot about, I don't know, you know and are aware of lots of weird alt 90s bands.
Oh yeah.
So I will say it must.
Oh, Geggy Tall.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So it must be interesting. One thing I will say, just you can carbon date whenever this podcast happened, because we're talking about Eve 6 Twitter, which is like a...
It's a 2021 thing.
For the
you
people that don't know,
2023.
For the people that don't know, the guy from Eve 6, the red-haired dude, this
First of all, I have red hair.
Yeah, that's weird. He became the guy from the Heart in a Blender song. Became self-aware, ironically, and decided to like become I guess you'd call it a hot Twitter account for hipsters. But I will say some of my favorite tweets is him, I assume, telling true stories about being on shitty tours with other bands like Candlebox and Third Eye Blind, and just kind of like, you can tell all those alt bands know they're viewed forever as like late 90s alt bands, and like, because that's how they're viewed in like whatever tour packages that they probably get sold, and like it must be kind of a soul-sucking weird thing to be like, yeah, my band, plays these fairgrounds, and sometimes there's like 1,000 people, but really I can tell they're just waiting for like, Kelly Clarkson to play next. Or there's probably like 100 people that are like, oh yeah, that song.
Dude, I saw Leanne Rimes at the fair one night, and it was actually very good.
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, she'll be okay. That's just what I'm saying is interesting. It's like when you think of Eve 6, and I've always kind of liked the song's called Inside Out, first of all. It's not called Heart in a Blender. I was always, I always remembered that song because it was really the tail end of that alt era in a way. And it definitely, I don't know if it's memorable as like Third Eye Blind music. But anyway, it's its own thing. But were you ever a big... Did you put Eve 6 on mixes?
Never.
Yeah.
I mean, I never was like, oh, this song sucks. Because actually, I like it. But, I mean...
It's not as... Let's just say it's not as... Some alt stuff, there's like a little more artistry.
It's no Fuel Shimmer.
Right.
I'll tell you that right now.
It doesn't have It feels like very much so like made in a studio to be an alt. Like it feels like
it's
AI
like an
made.
Alternative rap song. It's like, one of them a dander, all in the blender. Bro, stop.
Choke on the rinds.
I would choke on the rind.
And then also, I remember this, and probably nobody else does, but they have like their third album that got them kicked off their major label. They had a song called Think Twice. And this was 2003.
They need to think 3 times.
But the song was like about how you shouldn't touch his girl. So it was like, think twice before you touch my girl. Anyway, but I'm glad he's found new for the next month, and then it'll probably die. New, like, oh yeah, that guy. That's cool. He's kind of like self-aware. Hey man, you're cool with me. But I disagree with the Coen brothers are worse than the Matrix people. It's fucking crazy.
If you like do some psycho digging into my Twitter, Yeah, you'll see I liked about 25 of his tweets.
Yeah, I did too. But see,
they're funny.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think.
But
he also is doing, and I've been talking about this with everyone. He's also doing the like, I'm a Christian, ironically, as if to me, because I'm like a sober person. I'm not an AA person, but like, there's plenty of people I know that are Christian-y God people, so it doesn't weird me out. I'm like, okay, you're into the thing that like 90% of the world's into. You're into religion. Crazy. That's so fucking nuts. I don't
God
care.
rocks.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, I literally, it doesn't blow my mind at all, and I'm sure it blows the mind of like a 22-year-old that grew up on 4chan who was like an atheist who was like, hey mom, I don't believe in God, and argued with, so now they're like, oh, you know, fakely. Anyway, that's its own conversation, but it's just interesting to see. Again, if you're listening to this podcast 50 years from now, you can carbon date the moment in time that we're talking about.
January 4th,
2021. Yeah. COVID was still a thing. It was so badass. Yeah.
COVID rocks.
Yeah. And, you know, HEB's still a thing. It hasn't become...
No, HEB's still hot to this day. In Austin, it's like, that's the place to go, baby. If you want taquitos, that's the way to... That's the place
I've
to go.
still never been to the HEB on the cool one. I don't know what the cool...
Hancock?
Yeah. Is that the cool one? I've never been to that one.
So I've been there hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And yes, they do have Trulies. They have White Claws. They have...
Wow.
Yeah, they have all the modern hipster...
Is it more of a hipster HEB?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah. I can imagine...
Every aisle, you've seen the hottest girl, the quirkiest guy you've ever seen.
Hell yeah. Sometimes we can wind this down a little bit, but I will say sometimes I'll listen to, like, I don't know how many people listen to their own band. I do it all the time. I mean, I'm sure there's certain people that are like, I only listen to the mixes of my band's album and then never again.
Dude, no. I listened to Total Abuse Excluded the other day, like, kind of as a... It's not a chore, but I was like, I'm going to listen to this whole fucking record all the way through.
Yeah.
It's great, y'all.
That's what I mean. That's what's interesting to me is I feel like I make music that I would want to listen to.
Yeah.
And
There's no point to make anything else.
Right. And it's like music that if it wasn't my band, I'd be really jealous and mad, you know? So it's like I was just saying, to me, Excluded is one of the albums that it fully sounded like I hoped it would, which is rare for any kind of music. But there'll be Dustin and I have a secret project we'll talk about in the future called Project X.
Hey, every noise musician on earth, I would like to kind of end this conversation by saying, come up with a few riffs. If you don't mind, come up with some catchy ass riffs.
You heard him.
That people are going to say, whoa. Brighter Death Now just came out with this badass noise riff.
Yeah.
That is, wow. I mean, Namanax.
Hell yeah.
Fucking...
Also, on that note, you didn't you kind of make a noise album, that first 7-inch you ever did, which was, what was the first 7-inch? Battle Unicron?
I did.
Isn't that kind of a noise album?
It was accidental noise.
Right. Because how did you make it? Tell people.
We had a Casio Ratman, and there was an orchestral, like, setting on, like, it was orchestra hits. So any note that you played sounded like, like a crazy stab. Mm-hmm. But if you played like 10 notes in a row, it sounded like noise. Right. It sounded like, it sounded like, yeah.
Right.
It sounded like goat.
Right. Hell yeah.
You hit, bro, if you grab a Casio Ratman, that's all you need to make noise.
And then didn't you put it...
No, I didn't. I put it through a 4-track.
Right. And then, but wasn't there a thing where you did like a vacuum cleaner?
Oh! Okay, yes. We played a show. It was our first show ever. Mm-hmm. I was 19, and I was like, let's borrow all of our friends' vacuum cleaners, and let's plug them in to a like a
like a power strip?
Like a power strip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have it on off.
Okay.
But we'll have all of the vacuums powered on.
Right.
So we'll be like, hey, we're Battle Unicron. This is our first song. We turn
it on.
We turned on the power strip,
Uh-huh.
and it was 1,000,000 vacuums, and it cut out the power of the entire venue.
Uh-oh.
And at that exact moment, this is really fucked up, but Joey Ramone died.
Whoa.
Right when we
Like everyone started hearing about it or something?
we cut off we blew out the power,
Mm-hmm.
and Joey Ramone of this great punk band, power chord group called the Ramones, he died. He perished.
Right.
He evaporated off of the earth.
Right.
His soul is gone.
Because of
His body was still there, but he
Yeah.
died.
and because of the Battle Unicron
Vacuum killed 1,000%.
As a side note, did the power get turned back on? Did they like
It did, but the show was done, and
everyone was like bummed or what?
no,
People were like,
no one
okay.
cared.
Oh.
We played a random show, and that was that.
Well, so there wasn't even a moment where you heard like
Yes, for 2.5 seconds, we heard 10, like it wasn't
10.
even 10. It was honestly like 6
That's
vacuum.
still a lot of vacuums.
That's a lot of vacuums.
Like that whole. I wish there was a video recording showing you trying to
No.
get a bunch of vacuums the whole day.
No, we flipped a switch and it goes, and it was the cleanest spot that fucking punk venue had ever seen ever. For 2 seconds, done.
And then,
Joey Ramone died. Fuck everybody. Let's go.
Well, hell yeah. Okay, great. And all right, thank you so much, Dustin.
Love you, Rusty. Love you, Amelia.
Love you too.
Love you.
That was Breathing Problem Productions podcast episode 4. Bye.
Bye.